So you guys on the top of your screen, it'll say it's being recorded and should be okay with that. Come on, set up the meeting, redirecting. So you guys on the top, there we go. We are live. So that means it'll be recorded. So you can always go to our YouTube channel. And
Bob,
yeah, Joan, yeah. Where'd you get those tulips, Joan?
Oregon.
Ah,
And
cool.
beautiful.
Whereabouts?
Um, I'll think about it and send it.
No
Wooden,
problem. Very cool.
Wooden Hill Tulip Factory. It
Factory.
was,
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
yeah.
It's a factory. They make those there.
It was
All right.
absolutely
Let's
gorgeous.
go back to the keynote. I'll share my screen and do keynote again.
While you're doing that, Ken, just a reminder for folks who want to be included in the door prizes. We've got something that just says iPhone, so we don't know who you are, and MG's iPad Pro. So if you want to be included for the door prizes, you should change your name.
And somebody, MG's is iPad Pro G5. So that generation 5, man. I was thinking it would be because they're doing the new A14 chip, and I was thinking it was the 15. Oh, that's Melissa. Cool. Hi, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa.
And the only one left is somebody that says iPhone. And if you can't change your name, go ahead and unmute yourself and we will change it for you. If you're a member, that way we know that you can participate in the raffle at the end, because we have our usual good prizes. All righty. So tonight we're going to go, and Al, he sent me the precursor to this. Man, I'll tell you, you guys, the amount of work Al puts into this stuff is amazing, and then he presents it so well. And he's got a lot to cover, and I think you're going to be able to cover it all, Al, because we're not going to have much in the way of announcements. It'll depend on
We'll
that Q&A a little bit. Then we'll do volunteer announcements, that text Q&A, and then I will present mail. And when I present mail, it's really a precursor to the 3-hour one we're going to do on June, what is it, 7th, 8th, whatever, the first, 7th, 6th, whatever it is, the first Saturday in June.
June 1st.
And it'll be a follow-up on that, and we'll get into real detail, but you'll be able to have questions tonight. And then, of course, we'll have our raffle. So going along, Al, are you ready?
I think so.
Okay, I will unshare my screen. You're on.
Yeah, if I see if I can get this.
Oh, and the person that says iPhone, by the way, it looks like your phone is staring to the ceiling, maybe, if that helps you, if you can tell us and we can get you right there.
No, that's Pete that's staring at the ceiling.
Well, it says iPhone under it. It's that if you go to the iPhone one, it showed just a round, yeah, right above you, Bob. Right there. See, it says iPhone only. So whoever that is.
Oh.
Pete had his name
both
on.
of them are staring at the
early. Okay. Yeah, Pete's there. He's got the ceiling, but just no thing. He's right below it. So it's not you, Pete McDonough. You're fine. All right, Al, go for it, buddy.
Okay.
Yay. And while I was doing that, he puts all these links together, and then he'll find links while I'm doing the presentation, and those will all be gotten to you in the email. So we see Cam Studio, and we do see your MacNexus. Perfect, Al. There you go, buddy.
All right. Good evening.
Perfect.
Everyone can see it. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this month's Apple and Tech News segment. First up, on May 2nd, this from Apple Insider. Apple has exceeded the Wall Street earnings expectations in its latest quarterly report, posting a revenue of $120.6 billion. That far surpasses the analyst forecast of $103 billion. Despite some challenges with weaker iPhone sales in China, the company's performance was bolstered by strong sales in other product categories like wearables, services, Macs. CEO Tim Cook remains optimistic about Apple's future, citing robust demand for 5G iPhones and the ongoing growth of the Apple ecosystem. On May 7th of this month, Apple held an event called Let Loose. It was a short one lasting 38 minutes with sorted videos showcasing their new iPads. Here's 7 of the biggest announcements from that event. The iPad Air now has a little bit more screen real estate. Here's a quick list of some of the new features. The redesigned iPad Air puts the front-facing camera on the landscape edge, much like the iPad 10. The iPad Air 6 features the M2 chip. It's been upgraded from the M1. Has stereo speakers in landscape orientation, and the 13-inch model is said to have stronger bass. Apple's also taunting the AI expertise of the Mac 2 chip. It comes with faster Wi-Fi with support for Wi-Fi 6E. And it also features the Apple Pencil Hover feature, which was first introduced with the 2022 iPad Pro line. Let me clean this up here. Lastly, there's a new color lineup that includes a new blue, purple, starlight, and space gray. Both models start at 128 gigabytes. That's double the previous storage, with 256 gigabyte, 512 gigabyte, and 1 terabyte models also available. The iPad Air.
So back on 2 slides ago, he said that it basically what it's done is it's doing landscape. So in other words, where the iPad used to think about it was, the iPhone was always done in portrait mode, where the iPads, even though they're portrayed here, they're best used in landscape mode, or in fact by wide. So what they've done is they've now put the front camera on it so that it's in the center of the landscape. So it's much more functional in that regard, and it gives them some other capabilities. So thanks, Al.
The iPad Air is it's available now with a starting price of $599 for the 11-inch model and $799 for the 13-inch model. Also at the event is the iPad Air's big brother, the iPad Pro. The new iPad Pro finally gets an OLED display and a lightweight redesign. For the first time, iPad Pro comes with a crisper, more vibrant OLED display, and the iPad Pro also sports a thinner profile. It measures 5.3 millimeters for the 11-inch and 5.1 millimeters for the 13-inch.
To put that in perspective, it's thinner than the iPod Nano and thinner than your iPhone. It's amazing. I haven't touched or felt it yet, but everybody that picks it up, that's just amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. They can pack that much technology in a form factor that's still relatively rigid, and it's pretty impressive engineering.
And you're going to dig a little deeper on OLED, tandem OLED, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. The new iPad Pro makes the leap from the M4 chip. That's the next generation Apple Silicon, and it represents a significant upgrade over its predecessors. The new 10-core CPU offers up to 50% CPU performance compared to the previous M2 iPad Pro. The M4 is built on a second generation 3-nanometer fabrication process. The new 11-inch model starts at $999 price point, and the 13-inch model starts at $1299.
And that M4 chip, by the way, is more advanced than what's currently in Apple laptops and iPhone.
Yeah, and Apple Studio. It's
Yeah.
impressive. Yeah, yeah. Apparently, we won't see any upgrades to according to Mark Gurman, we won't see any upgrades to the Studio or Pro till next year sometime. So,
No, but it'll
uh,
resurface in the new iPhone 16.
yeah, yeah. In addition to the new iPads, Apple released some new accessories for the like the Magic Keyboard. Some of the features include it's lighter and thinner. The 11-inch Pro model is 5.3 millimeters thin, and the 13-inch model is somewhat thinner at 5.1 millimeter. As comparison, the 2022 Pro models were 6.4 millimeters, so it's shrunk as well. It comes with a new function row. It's a 14 key function row that allows for access to tools like screen brightness and volume and media controls. Also, it comes with an aluminum deck. The Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro features an aluminum palm rest. It's a nice great upgrade from the plastic of the 2020 Magic Keyboard version. It comes with a larger touchpad that also includes haptic feedback. The new Magic Keyboard Pro for the 11-inch model, it comes in at $299, and for the 13-inch model, $349. Pricey, but it's a lot of technology in it as well. Also, at the release of this event was the new Apple Pencil Pro. It's a third generation version of the device. The new sensor barrel includes a squeeze option with a haptic feedback and supports virtual shape tools via a new roll feature. The same feature also to be used to switch between tools. Developers for the Apple Pencil Pro can now create custom interactions. For an impressive 2-minute and 23-second short demo for the new iPad Pro, the Apple Pencil, and the Procreate software, I recommend you see this video on YouTube. It's pretty impressive. The Pro model also offers Find My support, so that if you manage to leave your stylus behind, you can now track its location like the other things we do. If you find yourself in the market for an Apple Pencil and need a primer on which model works on which iPad, I recommend checking out this link here at the Mac Rumors. As you can see, there are now 4 Apple Pencils that span 6 generations of iPads. I fashioned up this graphic here to put it all on one screen, but if you go to that link, it goes a little bit more depth. It's pretty good.
That's an excellent resource because that's always a question.
Yeah, yeah. Interestingly, at the end of Apple's Let Loose event, they confirmed it was entirely recorded on the on the iPhone. The most intriguing part is that the company also says it was edited on a Mac and an iPad. This is the second Apple event to be filmed entirely on a phone. The company did this first experiment last year at the October event, which was filmed on an iPhone 15 Pro to promote the new filming capabilities, the ProRes log and the 5x5x lens. Unsurprisingly, the company used Macs to edit its event, but this time part of the event was also edited on an iPad. Just give you some idea, with that M4 chip in it, the iPad Pro is a very capable machine. And finally tonight, on a positive human interest story, this was taken from a CBS Morning's interview segment by Jamie Wax. It's a story about a young girl named Jordan Zimmerman who was diagnosed with non-speaking autism as a child. She grew up only being able to communicate with body language and pictures. In schools, nonverbal kids like her was segregated and thought to be lacking in mental capacity and empathy. Well, when she was 18, she was given an iPad. Apple introduced live speech with iOS 17 in 2023, but as far back as 2014, there were iPad apps that could speak whatever was typed into them. The iPad radically changed the life of Jordan. The verbose and insightful young girl that lived inside now had a voice. Zimmerman says that the iPad transformed her family life as well, especially with her brother. Quote, "My brother and I had this amazing ever-growing relationship, which now started only 10 years ago," she said. She went
And
on to
you
go
really
ahead.
need to, you guys really need to see this video. It's emotional, but it shows you what was stored up in her that she could never get out.
Yeah.
And there's an app that's been out for the iPad since the iPad first came out, and it's called Proloquo to Go.
Yeah.
And they do it with nonverbal, mostly younger people. She did this as an adult,
Yeah.
but it's even made some of the nonverbal kids become verbal. Not many, and that's not a hope always. But what happens is because it's an inanimate object, there's no pressure. And so therefore they more or less are communicating with it. And what it does is you type it in, but it creates a voice. And that voice will be saying what her thoughts are because she can type it in. She just that the audio she doesn't verbalize because it's part of her autistic spectrum. But it's really, really amazing, and it's been a wonderful thing. And I'll try find a link that I'll provide to Al. That's one that I used at a presentation. Gosh, it
I
was
think
Apple WWDC, and it was
didn't we one time show the app in a MacNexus meeting quite a while back?
yes, it
Yeah.
was. This was like 2 years after the iPad was introduced, and
Yeah.
I've saved that video.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I upload that, but otherwise I'll see the link should be out there because it was only shown to developers at the developer conference,
Hmm. I was
which would have
impressed
been
when I saw it.
incredible.
The potential for it was pretty obvious, pretty
Yeah.
compelling. Yeah. And this is a this is a story essentially 10 years later, um, uh, that really empowered this young girl. I've got some other slides here. She went on to get a bachelor's degree in education policy from Ohio University and a master's of education at Boston College. She's currently working on her second master's for business administration. So, coming from a child who was segregated in school and, thinking that she was, mentally not as capable she had all this capability and all this potential inside of her, but was, with the help of this device, it was, it brought it to the forefront. She was able to, achieve all her potential. So it's a great story. Oh,
And to
go ahead.
follow that forward, oh, I'm sorry. I'll wait till you're done with this one.
Yeah. She also serves on the President's Committee for People with Intellectual Disabilities, and gives presentations at schools around the country advocating for resources and educational opportunities for students with disabilities. She is the board chair of the nonprofit Communication First, and her insights have been published in places such as the Boston Globe and the New York Times. Her story caught the eye of Sarah Hellinger, the head of global accessibility at Apple. The company was so taken with her that she was chosen as an Apple Distinguished Educator. I find the story to be great because it's an example of technology in service of humanity. The 5-minute long CBS Mornings segment can be found on YouTube, and I would highly recommend it. Very good.
Absolutely. And thank you for bringing that up,
Yeah.
Al.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and let's take this forward a little bit. Go back one slide to her there, just so people can have it. And Al is providing these links, by the way, as he always does. You'll get them. But the biggest encumbrance for her is the speed with which she can type it in. So I don't know if you're aware, but what's been happening with Neuralink these days, they have a guy. So that's one of the companies that Elon Musk founded, and they're basically what it is in this gentleman's case, he is a paraplegic because of a swimming accident. His spine was severed, so therefore he he can speak, but he can't use his arms. He's from like so far down. He can't move his arms or his legs. So Neuralink has provided a brain implant that's in his brain. So when his brain says, move your hand or move your finger this way, it can't get transmitted to his muscles in his arm because that link is broken and that link won't heal. I mean, it's severed at the spinal cord. So what Neuralink has done is they have been able to isolate with these finer than a thin hair wires to this little transmitter, and that transmitter would send it to the muscles that cause the hand to close, or each finger, but the hand to close. And what this does is he could play chess with a pencil in his mouth telling the chess piece where to go. But now he thinks about moving his arm, and when he moves his arm, it triggers the other end of it to move just like that. And so if you think about it, he's essentially like a robot, because a robot that could say play chess, it would have to go from, quote, the brain or the computer out and say move these particular parts to do this. And it's been very successful. It's been great for him. They did just implanted another one in another person, but the implications of this are amazing. And I see that in this also, because her slow part, it's not her brain that's slow. She is just not verbal. And that's the problem. It doesn't mean she's a slow thinker. She cannot verbalize. She can only verbalize as fast as she can type. So if with Neuralink, it could take the brain saying, say this word, it could send that to the computer for her as quick as she could talk and do it. And I haven't heard them doing that yet, but it's again, another one of these things, because now, yes, obviously in the future, it may get to the point where it may stimulate her vocal cords, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying the easiest step here is for it to realize what her brain says and do that. And the reason they're able to do that with muscles and stuff is because it's more of a big movement. It's move your shoulder forward, move your elbow up, things like that. So that's a little bit easier to do than thoughts. But that's where this is all going to go. And by the way, the whole Neuralink thing will also help. There's a lot of people that are blind because of optical nerve damage. And so what they can do is they can implant this, and they essentially give them a camera, and then the camera shoots to the brain what it sees, just like an eye would. And I mean, the benefits of all this are great. And believe it or not, that also helps because humanoid robots are where everything's going. And the reason they do humanoid robots is because the humanoid robots can be trained by humans, because if they have fingers, if all of their motions are similar to a human, that's how they train it. And it's learned through AI, as we talked about the last time, is they train it from a human, and then that thing can go pick up a box or move something around or a chess piece. So all of these are kind of going together, and AI will help that a lot also. So what a great time to be alive. And luckily she's young enough that she's likely to reap the rewards of this dramatically, because they did talk about in the piece that it is unedited, with the exception of her response times were shortened, because otherwise this 5-minute segment would have been 10-15 minutes. But I'll tell you, it's just amazing, and how good that makes her feel. And this is all stuff that's, it's built in to the iPad and the iPhone. I work a lot with the hearing impaired and with the sight impaired, and there are so many features inside the iPhone that most people don't know about that help dramatically. So be happy that when you buy Apple products, you're helping support this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Al, for bringing that up.
Yeah. Good. It's a great story. All the links tonight, oops, let me go back here. All the links generated tonight will be distributed in a PDF by Bob White in his normal MacNexus email blast. I'll post it sooner on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is a great forum for late-breaking curated Apple and tech news and support. We encourage everyone to come check it out.
And it is a private group, so you have to be invited in, I believe, but that way, you can have chatter back and forth. And was that, did you have more, Al? Because we're
Yeah,
good on
well,
time
yeah,
if you
I
did.
can keep on going. There was a few other things
Yeah,
that
go for it, please.
usually I stack some slides there in the back for potential talking points here. I came across there's this new technology that Apple's implemented in the iPad Pro to
And
accommodate.
likely to go into other products.
Yeah, exactly. And it's this tandem OLED screen. So I found this primer at this site called How to Geek. It talks about OLED in general and why it's so good, the benefits of it, uh, limitations of it, but it also goes into a little bit of detail about Apple's tandem OLED screen in particular. And I'd recommend this article. So it's a little nerdy, but informative.
So, and also if you look at the presentation that Al linked, that was the event that was the
That loose.
Let Loose event, they talk about this. So just two things here. OLED stands for organic light emitting diode. And what OLED, if you've looked at TVs recently and stuff, the blacks are as black as they can get. And the black is the absence of a lit light. And so they even show some comparisons on Apple, but it really makes a huge difference because by being black, ultra black, it makes colors pop out better. And what this tandem OLED does is an LED is a light emitting diode. That's essentially a little light, okay? And if you think of the light would be like on the old monitors and stuff, you think of a dot. Well, that dot would be a light, and then there would be a red, a green, a blue dot. And those would be three dots, and how they lit up makes a color for those three dots. Well, the LED can do it. They have one LED for each. Well, the LEDs themselves can change, but what they've done is they've stacked a tandem one LED on top of the other, and it gives you what's called much brighter, and it's called nits, which is the brightness of the screen. And so I encourage everyone to stop by Costco, Best Buy, Apple, and go look at the screens on these new iPads. You will absolutely be blown away. And remember, the in-store environment is not always the best because it has a lot of glare, a lot of light, and things like that, but it still shines. And then you can spend extra on this and get what's called nano coating, which is a geeky thing, but what it is, it's a very specialized non-glare if you were operating in a very glared environment. So this, but the other thing is, and I really am looking forward to when they can put this in the iPhone too, because you know how it is on a really bright sunny day.
Yep.
If your iPhone gets warm and everything else, it gets a little bit hard to see it. So, and that's part of the fact on how our eyes react to it. So this technology is awesome.
Absolutely.
And I just now realized that those little designs spell pro.
Pro, yeah. An odd font and stuff, but
yeah, well, it's
hard
just
to make out the P, but
usually
there.
I saw them on the side. Usually I saw it as a side view. Now that it's up this way, I see that.
That's funny.
I'm probably the last to know, but anyway.
Yeah. Let's see, I had a couple other slides in here just to give you a clue about some. This is Apple's feature quilt for the new Apple Pencil Pro. Obviously, going from top left, you can do it has a double tap and the barrel roll and a squeeze.
And the barrel roll, what it does is you'll see how as it's rolled, it changes the width of the line, and it can actually change the color.
Yeah. Great for calligraphy and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said before, it includes the Find My technology in it. So if it gets misplaced or falls out of your pack or something, you may have a chance of recovering it.
And you can finish up on this slide because there's some things there. And again, we've got time. So the
Okay.
squeeze, when you squeeze it, it brings up this contextual menu and you select what you want it to do, whether it be an eraser or a wide tip and things like that.
Yeah, it has a tilt sensitivity, if you can imagine that, as well as the pressure sensitivity, and low latency. That's really, really important. You need that kind of immediate feedback, as an artist. If you've ever tried to sketch anything, if you can't see it immediately, you need that feedback.
And so that latency or the time it takes to display is hugely critical. And that's ever since the pencil first started, it's something they really, really focused on. But you have to remember there's two components here. There's the iPad and there's the pencil. And you're only as good as your weakest link. And realistically, what has improved and lessened the latency is as the chips have gotten faster. Think about it like an old movie where you see click, 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 you see the frames. And now we have a frame rate that's so fast that it's constantly refreshing. And that helps really make that latency so it's not even noticeable. And then the other amazing thing in the lower right corner now, you don't even have to touch the screen.
Yeah,
You can be above the screen.
that's
And
truly amazing to me.
yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And I actually think what they're doing is there's a computer in the pencil because remember it does angles and things like that. And they show one example on one place where as you hover it over, it even creates an optical shadow, and it can by how low of an angle you have or how high of an angle you have, it changes that. So what it's doing is there's an accelerometer inside the pencil, as there always have been, but now it's amazing. It is truly magical. I wish I had a need for it.
Yeah. The only thing bad about it is that it won't work on my 2022 M2 iPad Pro.
That's how they get you. And to be
Yeah.
honest, though, it really has to do with the latency
Yeah.
factor
Yeah.
of the chip inside, and that's why this is the first one to roll out any M4 chips.
But the good thing is, whatever iPad you have, they're making 4 versions for 6 generations, and they if you need that functionality, you can get it at whatever price point device you have. But it's impressive, this high-end version of it. I can't think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Um, let me see. I had a little bit here about on May 13th, Apple released iOS 17.5. We're less than a month away from iOS 18 preview at the Worldwide Developers Conference 2024, but it's not stopping Apple from fine-tuning its current iOS. Because it's so far along in iOS 17's life cycle, you won't find too many major features in iOS 17.5 update. But here's a quick list here. Number one, there's cross-platform tracking detection, which delivers notifications to users if a compatible Bluetooth tracker they do not own is moving with them. And it happens regardless of what operating system the device is paired with. So if you have a Google device or something of that nature, it'll still give you that information.
It keeps AirTags and other similar devices from stalking you, basically, because
it's an
you'll be
anti-stalking.
alerted that something is not yours is following you. I rented a U-Haul from a local place. I had to move a wall bed, a Murphy bed, and I rented a pickup truck, and I got about 300 feet away from the U-Haul place, and it popped up on my phone and said, "An AirTag that is not yours is following you."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I thought, "Oh God, that's so smart." The Don U-Haul guy, they put those in their trucks. It's hidden in the dash somewhere,
yeah.
I'm sure,
That's smart.
and it does it. But now they've done it so if other type of non-AirTag devices are tracking you, it will say that.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's good. That's important. And it doesn't really lessen the security of it. But obviously, let's say like a lot of people put it in their bikes or things like that. If your bike gets stolen, that person will then know that they're being, quote, followed, but that's okay. That's why you always want to take your AirTags and hide them. And I'll give you a solution for that is in my suitcase. You know, no matter what suitcase you have, the liner in the suitcase usually has a zipper in it because that's how they put the liner in it. So I unzip a little bit of that liner and I hide the AirTag up in between the liner of the suitcase and the suitcase so it's not easily found. I do the same thing like in my laptop backpack. I hide it way down in some compartments and things like that. In a bike, you could hang it in, or you could put it where the bicycle, the tube goes for the seat and places like that. So be creative. My camera bag, I have AirTags and I hide it deeply in that. I don't have it attached to my cameras. And actually, while we're on AirTags, there's a new thing. So you can get an AirTag for your wallet, but it's so darn thick because of the battery. And those batteries last a year and they're easy to replace. But there's another company, and I'll try find it out. There's a few companies. It's the thickness of a credit card,
Saw that.
and it has a rechargeable battery in it, and it works with Apple's Find My, so it is essentially, quote, AirTag compatible.
That's great. That's great. There's a
And it's not just if it gets stolen. Remember, things like that get misplaced. Did you leave it in the car? Did it fall between the cushions in the sofa? And so you can use Find My on your phone to go find it.
iOS 17.5 had a couple more other little features. If you're an Apple News Plus subscriber, there's a new offline mode to read your articles. Also, third-party app availability in the EU countries. This introduces the capability to install applications directly from a developer's website. There's also there's some new Pride Collection wallpapers. Of course, like we were talking about, there's been some updates for the Find My network, and they're centered around anti-stalking capabilities for accessories like AirTags and stuff. Another thing that they show and this is a feature called Repair State. This lets users confirm with their Apple ID and password if they're about to send their the iPhone in for repair. Apple technicians can confirm that the person owns the iPhone and then proceed with the repair without the need to turn off stolen device protection and the Find My app. I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, they won't let you really do like, you know, it'll put it into essentially airplane mode so they don't get phone calls and stuff while they're working on it, but it allows it to still, you can still track it, and that's just for location wise and for your own security. We do have a question from Dennis for you, possibly, Al. Go
Sure.
ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, briefly back to AirTags. I recently had my little Toyota pickup truck stolen from my driveway.
Oh, bummer.
And so I was thinking for my other cars, for the reason Ken just mentioned, it's probably not a solution just to put an AirTag in there, but what if you put two and hid them carefully?
Yeah.
After they found one, would they think they're good? And you could still
And until they drive a little while again, and then it would say it, I mean, the AirTag would continue, that second AirTag would continue with the anti-stalking feature.
right, but it would buy you a little time, I think,
Yeah.
maybe.
Obviously. So the
Did-
other thing is remember where you put it, because you will have to change the battery after a year.
Yeah, right.
I have one in each vehicle that we have in my household. I know that the police don't want you going off and trying to recover a stolen vehicle, but you know, if there's technology out there that can assist, you know, reporting it, anything of that nature, and you got idiot criminals out there, you know, they're maybe not also tech savvy. Who knows? There may be an outside chance you can recover your vehicle. I'm real willing to leverage, you know, whatever technology is available to help me.
Yeah. I think I'll go ahead and
All's
do
fair.
that. Yeah. And on my AirTags that I use just for luggage, we only travel a couple of times a year. When I get back, I take the batteries out and they last a lot longer that way.
Yeah, no, that's good. And one thing you can do is you can also get just a little piece of clear plastic that you could keep it together and then put that between the battery and the contacts.
Yeah,
Kind
just
of
pull
like
it out. Yeah.
kind of like it comes with. I do that with the remote controls for my cameras and other devices like that, where I don't want the
Cool.
battery to inadvertently discharge. Or, in that case too, I mean, a lot of times is, hey, you retask it. I use some air tags where I then use them for something else the rest of the time.
Yeah,
Or
rename them.
I have
That's
some
what.
luggage ones that I transfer them between my different pieces of luggage.
Yeah, I
probably
just
have.
number them so I don't have to have a name.
Yeah.
I just have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I know
Yeah,
where each one is.
it's pretty simple to rename it on the fly.
Yeah.
And I have probably about a dozen or more now, and we obviously use them for travel, and probably maybe half of those for travel. But sometimes my wife might have more luggage. She may need to use one of my air tags, and so since you have the ability to share an air tag with somebody else. I just give it to her and then I rename it whatever it needs to be so that we know what it's going to. Um,
Yeah, good idea.
I have one in my computer bag. I have one in assorted camera bags, GoPro bags. I mean, just I have a couple. Have like I said, I have one in each vehicle in our household. So the batteries are relatively inexpensive, so I don't worry
Oh yeah,
about.
you just get a sleeve of them from Amazon
Yeah,
really cheap.
exactly.
But one thing, make sure you do not buy the ones that are considered child safe. They have
They
a
have a coating. Yeah.
they have a coating on them that makes them so they just won't work in the AirTag. When I say it's a coating, it's actually a super bitter taste. So if a young child would put it in their mouth, they would immediately spit it out because the taste is too bad, supposedly. So they do not work with that. So the other thing I should mention, and Al brought it up, and as far as naming them correctly, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, with my camera bag, my backpack, my carry-on, and my checked bag, and maybe something else, I have all these air tags when I'm traveling. Well, um, you want to have them named with what they are, even if you can change it so easy in there, because if I'm leaving a hotel and I get down into the bus that we're taking or a cab or whatever, and it pops up and said, your large suitcase is not with you. I go, okay, great. It's back in the hotel. I know that.
Yeah.
But if that was just a number and I go, well, is that my camera case? Is that my passport case? What is it? So you want to be descriptive, because then what happens is as you leave the hotel, you just say, oh, okay, that's fine. I know where it is. But don't say trust that location, because it could be the last day of your trip and you're going, hey, where is my suitcase? And it remembers the location. And it will only remind you as you leave that location each time.
Yeah.
So it's very, very useful. And by the way, all of your Mac or Apple devices have Find Me available, and you can do the same thing. Like if I leave my house and I don't take my iPad mini, or if it's shut off, it'll tell me, hey, you don't have your iPad mini with you. So
It's important. It's important.
Randy, go ahead with the question.
Yeah, I think Al posted that new AirTag model is coming out pretty soon. How soon is the new
I think I saw.
AirTag?
I think it might be next year, but I know it's on the horizon, and I'm interested to see what kind of features we're going to get with them. It's it's a great little device, and I'm glad to have it.
So when you get too many AirTags, you need an AirTag to find your AirTags.
You need a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. One last thing on here, I guess on iOS 17.5, there were also some security fixes for some stuff. And this one little note here, 8 days later, May 21st, Apple released iOS, iPadOS, and tvOS 17.5.1. The software update specifically addresses the issue with deleted photos reportedly returning after updating to iOS 17.5. While that bug is kind of alarming, it's important to note that Apple does not access your photos or videos. The issue resulted from a small number of photos being impacted by a corrupted database entry, making it possible for the photo not to fully delete from the device, not any Apple servers or anything. This is according to Apple.
And I got to say, if anything's going to happen, it's better to get photos back that you deleted than for it to delete photos you didn't want to delete. So,
Yeah.
you know what? I mean,
That's great.
And that fix came out like within what, 5
days?
days?
8 days. 8 days later. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And again, to keep up on all this too, Al mentioned it earlier. He puts virtually everything you've seen, he has put on our Facebook group with a quick annotation about it, and then you write a click to the link to the articles and things like that. And unfortunately, because of Google and the copyright strikes and stuff, there's videos he would have wanted to play here, but we're afraid that
but we can't.
our video down on this because, and it's weird. I've had 2 of our videos taken down, one from like 2016, but it's just, you know,
You have to be clever. I just looked at through the video and did some screen grabs just to capture the essence of it, you know. And
yeah, and that's totally fine. And what it is this is all automated, and you know, they don't give you you don't know well enough how to play around it. So I'd rather just keep the content up there. So we're being very careful. I had one come down because we're going to do mail tonight where I was doing a presentation on contacts, and I had actually used this fake database of contacts that I had acquired that Apple uses in their presentations, you know, Johnny Appleseed and things like that. And they thought I was giving away personal information. And these are totally made up cases. and I replied to it and I got, no, sorry, you know.
That's bunk.
Oh, it's so stupid.
It's bunk. It's bunk.
Anyway, so we're being more careful. We're being careful about it. So the rest of the video stays up.
Let me see here. These are just some other slides of that. I think that's essentially it. This and
Awesome.
Back to you, big guy.
Hey, Al. Thank you. Huge round of applause.
It's all good. It's all good.
Seriously, all the work on that, and I mean, I get tons out of it, so I know you guys do too. So again, thank you, Al, and hats off to you on that. And welcome back. And your trip was good?
It was good. With the exception of Mary's phone getting snatched. Even that was a kind of a silver lining because I got to see the theft and loss thing of Apple Care in action and what's involved, and so it was a really good learning experience. And I didn't have to replace it cost me $149 for a $1,400 phone, and once it got reported and stuff, and I's got dotted and T's got crossed. It came within a few days, and you know, it was same model, same color, pristine. So I know they're probably refurbs, but man, and the battery was 100%. So May's a happy camper, and after we were able to do an iCloud update, send her on her way, and she's in Chicago.
That was what, a 3-year-old phone?
No, that was last year's 14 Pro Max.
Okay, so a year-old phone, year and a half now.
Yeah.
And the battery probably wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
And for $149 deductible, you got a 100% phone. So I should tell you, remember, there's 2 levels of Apple Care now. One is just support and breakage and that. And then you can add, if you're doing it monthly, it's $3 a month more, I believe. And it covers lost or stolen iPhones with a deductible like that. So
with 2 instances of it. And
kudos to Apple. And you don't buy protection from your carrier because those things, they have huge high deductibles, and you know, but Apple does it right as we would expect. So
one little caveat there. It's actually AIG, the insurance giant, that actually does that covers all that stuff. And sometimes, as was explained to me in the second tier of Apple support, that they don't always have transparency into the AIG workings and stuff. So I didn't, there was I could have preferred a little bit more transparency about what stage of the claims I was at and stuff. But after a few phone calls and hitting the right folks, it went off without any kind of disappointment. I had satisfaction. So all in
Yeah.
all, a positive experience from something unfortunate, but we didn't let that get in the way of having a great time in Ireland and took a few thousand photos. Uh, it was great. It was
And you
great.
had good weather, I hear.
Oh yeah, we brought some of that California sunshine. They were telling us we were eyeballing the weather for the whole entire month preceding our trip, and our tour manager was saying we've had cloudy weather, rainy weather, and we came and we had days blue skies.
Awesome.
It was great. So I was able to get some great shots of the Cliffs of Moher on a sunny day. It was great. We took a big double-decker bus tour around Dublin on a sunny day, and so every place was just alive with people walking. It's so colorful. Got great photos. It was fun. I want to go back.
Did
It
you
was
have
great.
to use the Google Translate app?
I didn't, but when I was in
Well,
hindsight, I thought because
that's a joke
their signs have
because
Gaelic on them, and
yeah,
I was wondering, do they have a Gaelic?
I don't know, but I was really more trying to make a comment about the heavy accents,
Oh my
or
goodness.
you with your heavy accent and them. I mean, the Scots are even worse. So
Well, that's where I want to go as well. So looking
yeah,
forward to making that trip. It
well,
was
that's
fun.
awesome, Al. Welcome back.
Yeah, glad to be
Thank you
here.
again. Huge round.
Yeah.
So, do we have any volunteer or member announcements, things that they need to talk about? And if not, we'll move on to tech Q&A. So Randy submitted a Purple Mac question with some great question. And what we'll do is I will probably get into some of this during the actual presentation. How do I set my iPhone to receive all calls? How do I set up my iPhone to receive only calls from persons, companies, and organizations in my contacts? So the answer to that is basically there's some limitations you can do in the phone, and I'll try do and I may have to defer this to our Saturday class when I can dig in a little deeper. But basically, if you can set your phone to when you say receive, you would essentially just tell it not to ring if calls come in that aren't in your contacts, ring or send a voicemail. And also you have your favorites in contacts, and you can then further define it and say only allow, and like if you use focus where you're using your do not disturb feature, say between these hours only allow calls if they're in my favorites in contacts. So that's kind of how you can delineate it. And of course, in the new OS, if it's an unknown call that's coming in, for instance, somebody called me today and I never answer the phone if I don't know the number. And it was somebody I needed to talk to. So I pushed the button to send it to voicemail. And then you can look at your phone and it'll say, okay, they're leaving a voicemail. If it's spam, they're not going to leave a voicemail, but somebody was leaving a voicemail. So I got to read what they're saying, and I immediately picked up the phone because I needed to talk to them. And once I saw who it was and they were calling about this, I said, oh, sorry for that. It's the equivalent of the old days when you had a tape type answering machine and you would listen to the person while they're leaving a message, and then you could pick it up. That's built in iOS 17. So that's a good way to do it. And then Randy's other question is there a way to set up both Hotmail and Gmail so that the trash option shows up on both emails? I will try to get that to today. And if not, Randy, if you're going to be there on first Saturday, we'll do it then. And that actually has to do with your server settings, and we have to change it on all of your devices. Can the options options order in emails be changed? You mean on the contextual menu that pops up? Yeah, I don't think so. You wanted to see if you can change the order of that. I
Like-
don't think so. You can change the share sheet and add things to it, but not the like reply or reply all and all that. So
Just
we'll
wanted to
try to
move
address that. Randy, go
wanted to
ahead.
move trash up a little bit higher, block a little higher, the ones that I use more often, so I don't have to scroll down. Just convenience is all.
Yeah. Well, what'll happen too is where you show the example of archive, that will then become the trash when we show you those correct settings. So we can go in and look at that. Once if we have time at the end today, before I get through what we're trying to get through in mail, we would do that. So hang on, I got to get my sheet here. Okay. And then, any other questions from the floor? Anybody, please feel free to raise your hand. This is anything Apple questions at this point. Don't why the sky is blue or
Hey, Ken.
yeah.
An AirTag question. In the Find My, when you look at your list of AirTags, if you have quite a few of them, is there any way to reorder them yet? Can you drag them to the sequence that you want?
Have you tried that?
I have, but I couldn't get it to do it, and I wasn't sure if I was doing something wrong. It didn't appear as if it had that functionality. Just wondering if there's something else I need to know.
Let me just try here. No, it doesn't appear that you can. Because there's no edit. You can add. No, I would imagine that may come later, but currently you can't. And I think it's newest at the top. Newest added AirTag seems to be at the top from what I can tell. So what I would recommend is you could play with this. Oh, let me just change. No, I can't even edit it, can I?
I should submit it as a feature request to Apple.
Yeah, what I was going to say is you could. So if you want something at the top, go in and delete it and then re-add it, and that'll move it to the top. But that's kind of like caveman type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that, unfortunately. All right, we got some questions from the audience. Lisa's first. Go right ahead, Lisa.
Mine is off topic, but we have someone logged in as iPad. So if they want a chance at an Amazon.
And they're
gift
right
card-
where iPhone is. So if you're logged in under iPad or
Mhm.
iPhone, go ahead and unmute yourself now and we can change your name for you. And then we have Dennis that is no last name. So not you, Dennis Irwin, you're fine, but we have iPad who only came on recently, and iPhone has been there here from the beginning. And iPhone's phone is looking towards the ceiling, and there you have a round globe for a lamp above your table that it's on. Great. Thanks, Lisa. All right, Joan, go ahead. Unmute yourself, please.
I
Thank you.
did. Okay. On my phone, I have the ability in messages to put pictures of people that are my most called. And I can do that on the computer, but the pictures never stay. Follow me?
But have you done it on your phone?
I have. The pictures are
And
fine
it
on my
doesn't
phone.
propagate over to your.
No, it
computer.
doesn't.
You want to make sure all your iCloud and are your iCloud messages stored on, excuse me, are your messages stored on iCloud?
Yes.
Okay, make sure that's also set on your computer then, like your phone.
Okay.
In settings, you'll go to iCloud and make sure messages on iCloud is also set. That might help.
Would that
And
be
then make
under,
sure it's set that way on your phone also.
okay, is that what would it be under?
Under
Do you know?
settings on your phone and then go to messages. And
Oh.
on your computer, you're going to go to iCloud and then set it. And actually, I'm sorry, on your phone, go to iCloud first and see if it's in messages. Let me look. iCloud. So you tap your name on the phone, go to iCloud, and then go down and say show all. And messages on iCloud has to be on. Yeah, so you can do it from iCloud on both the computer and the
Okay.
iOS device.
Messages on the iCloud drive and the mail are on.
No, not it shouldn't say messages on iCloud Drive. You go to iCloud, go down to show all on the phone, and then there will be messages.
Oh, okay.
And it says messages in iCloud. And make
Okay.
sure it's on there
All right.
from the
That may
iCloud
be-
center.
That may be the problem.
Well, hopefully that'll do it.
Okay,
Parker,
thank
go
you.
right ahead.
Yeah, this goes back to your discussion of AI earlier. I got a letter from a company that I do business with. And they said, you can now set it up so that your voice is going to be the way that we identify you as opposed to using other things. And from what I've read about AI, they do a really good job of being able to very closely mimic people's voices. So that doesn't sound to me like a very good thing to do if AI can mimic your voice to have that be your entree into your account. What do you think?
Yeah. I used to encourage it, and I still kind of do, I think, because the voice print, so if you've ever watched an oscilloscope that shows the sound wave, it's not an oscilloscope, but the wave of your voice
Yeah,
is as unique as a fingerprint, and it doesn't matter if you're a bit nasal or things like that. So that would be a question I'd have to look into to see what the voice print of it. Well, so an AI generated voice would have to have a recording of your voice first to generate your voice
hmm
as your passcode. And I have a feeling that it would not pass wouldn't pass the voice, the wave of the sound wave. But yeah, I don't. That's why we're going to passkeys now, because passkeys are replacing passwords. And if they ask you to verify your phone or your computer, what it is saying, instead of you entering a password, we're saying that we know your phone is your trusted device because to get into it, you had to use biometrics. And your Mac at this point, if you have the fingerprint reader, we know you had to use biometrics for that. So what it does is um, it um, it 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 trusts the device when you go sign in somewhere, because they know that for you to even open that device, it needs your Face ID, your Touch ID, or your passcode. And so what it's doing is it will lessen what we need for passwords. And by lessening what we need for passwords, the beauty is that those passwords are stored in these databases and those get compromised. Well, this way, it's your trusted device, so there really is no essential password. So, that's a good point on the voice. And I'm sure if it was a security issue they were worried about, they would stop doing it. But because it is so new. So,
yeah, and it's a question of, how long is it gonna take them to figure out that if it's a problem, and what's gonna happen in the meantime?
yeah, the high security places that would be using that stuff are probably on top of it already. And if it was an issue, I think I get a couple different email blogs from security things, and I haven't heard of that yet, but it's a wonderful question. And I can't give you a definitive answer. But it's safer than a password
Okay, thanks.
at this point. All right, Elaine, go ahead.
Hi there. Finally got a new laptop. It's a
I
Mac.
heard. Great.
Yay, yay, yay. So, one stupid little question. I do not see the Bluetooth icon in the very, very top bar on the
Sure.
top of my computer screen. And
Yep.
see the
It's easy
Wi-Fi
to get. It's easy to
battery.
get. So go to settings and I'll show you on the screen here.
Okay.
Should show up. Let me get out of this. System settings, go to
Yep.
Bluetooth, and then up here, oh, do they not show it anymore? It used to say display Bluetooth.
Aha. So I'm not crazy.
But you migrated over, right?
Yeah.
So let me see if it's in displays. Let's do this. We have this wonderful search.
Isn't it up in the menu bar now?
Well, that's what she's saying. It's not in the menu bar.
Hmm.
You don't see it in the upper right corner, do you?
Well,
Like my Wi-Fi, Elaine?
Oh, no, I've got the battery indicator. I've got the,
Yeah.
it's in that little control center panel, isn't it? It on mine it shows the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, AirDrop, do not
Right.
disturb.
So Elaine, you can go farther to the right. That looks like a black and a white slider bars,
Uh-huh.
A pair of them.
and then
Yep.
you can see Bluetooth there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, mine migrated over because I've always had it up there, and I like the Bluetooth logo there. But yeah, you can get to it. Al has a good point. It doesn't
That's how
show it.
That's how I do it. I click on those two things that look like slider bars.
Yeah. It'll give you control of several other things.
Yeah, I see that. Okay. And then I have some
Yeah,
other
and
questions about.
otherwise, when we're done, Google that and see, because I'm looking. I did Bluetooth under the search inside preferences because I was wondering if it would be a display issue, but it just doesn't. I think, did you migrate from your old computer?
Did. Yeah.
Yeah, and it
And
should
it
have
had,
that
it had,
setting over.
yeah, it should have.
Okay.
Also my mail crashes often. And will you be addressing anything about that in your presentation today?
No, because it's not common.
Yeah, I
But
just have a number of crashes. My mail crashes. And I don't know
how
why.
often?
There are days when it happens like 5 times in a row, and then there are
And you
days
start the
it doesn't happen.
computer when you go to when it happens?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do you restart the computer when it happens?
I do not.
And have you restarted the computer recently?
Yeah, maybe a week ago.
Okay. So anytime you get a weird anomaly like that, yeah, go ahead and quit mail. Well, you don't have to because it knocked out, but then restart the computer.
Okay.
So and Al posted on the Bluetooth on putting that up top. It's turned off. Continuity, Apple menu, system settings, click Bluetooth, and this. Yeah, that's for turning it on and off. I don't know if it'll put the display on there. So
Okay.
anyway, I didn't look at that. But yeah, definitely restart the computer when anything's weird like that. And then
Okay.
there's a fairly new update for Sonoma, so you might run that too.
Oh, okay. And then one more thing about mail, which you may or may not cover, but on my old computer, you know how you can flag an email, and
Yeah,
the flag would show up in a left-hand column in my list of mail. And now when I flag an email, it doesn't show up in my
you're
list.
right. And it hasn't for a while. I mean, you
Oh,
can do flags. There used to be a way, so it would actually color the whole line on your old operating system. But now you can make a column that shows flags, and I'll show you how to do that.
okay, great.
In fact, we can start with that when I get into my computer because that's a good one.
Thank
So
you.
we'll go through a couple slides here. So I try to ungeekify everything. I'm going to try to talk in real terms. This is critically important, and I can't stress enough that you need to take heed. If you use email with Yahoo, AT&T, or SBC Global, they absolutely suck. And you need to get rid of them because I think they are not long for this world. And let me just give you a quick explanation here. So ATT, which was also sbcglobal.net, they contracted Yahoo to do their email for them because the tech support and all that other stuff is just it's so expensive for these companies, especially when they have a program that doesn't work very well. So they did it to Yahoo. Well, what's happened to Yahoo is, and then people that had regular Yahoo accounts too, they're free accounts, you get a ton of ads, you get a ton of spam and things like that. So what happened is Yahoo was their own person. They got sold and then they got sold again to Verizon. So now Yahoo, which handles AT&T and SBC Global email, or even if you have the old pacbell.net even, Yahoo got sold to AT&T's competitor, Verizon. Well, Verizon spun it off, and Yahoo kind of has good search and things like, well, not good search, but adequate search. And they sold it to a private equity group. Well, and I'm going to say Yahoo Mail, which includes AT&T and SBC Global because they use that interface, has been broken for 4 years. It has consumed as much time on tech support calls that I've done as all other items. It has consumed more than all of those others combined. I recently had, this was a month and a half ago, I had a great client, and we finally had to upgrade their iMac to a new one. We're keeping the old iMac, and we migrated everything over. Well, everything migrated over except we needed to sign in to their sbcglobal.net account. And it wouldn't allow it. And it worked on all their other devices, so I wasn't going to do a password reset or anything. Well, I was on with them, and after about an hour, I said, man, I'm at wit's end. We've got to get tech support. So I spent the next 2 hours with tech support. I was doing a screen share with them, and I was talking to tech support on speakerphone. So we were in this 3-way conversation. Everything went well, except they couldn't fix the problem. So they said, yeah, the only thing we can do is reset the account, but that'll take 3 days because they have to make sure it's you. So it's not some estranged spouse that is trying to get into somebody else's Yahoo and all this other garbage. So then 3-4 days later, I'm on with tech support for another 2 hours, and we never got it resolved. So the only way they can check email on their new, and luckily I have been gradually getting them over to use Gmail, and they're on their Mac. I think we can finally get it by browser only, but not in Apple Mail. And it's just completely failed, and it's all their fault. So if you think about it, here you have a free email service that they just spent 5 hours of tech support time on their techs. And I would be willing to bet that their hard cost on that, when you figure buildings and everything else, that had to be $100 an hour, even though the employee was probably making 20. And at that point, that costs them $500. And how often can they do that? And on a thing that is only made money by seeing ads. And anyway, you want to get rid of it because it's very broken. And I really think Yahoo may cease to exist at some point. But that being said, it might as well cease to exist because it absolutely sucks. It's terrible. And it's so frustrating. So let's talk, since we're talking about mail, want to talk about fake emails. This was an old one. This was in 2014, but it looked like a perfect iTunes email until you hover over the get started and it's some weird link that doesn't say apple.com. Amazon, same thing. Well, what I want to do is you never click on these because these are made to look like other
Do you
things.
want to share, Ken?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was. Yeah. Are you guys, the rest of you besides Bob, seeing my screen?
I'm seeing
Yes,
your,
I
I
am.
see it.
yep.
Yeah, that happened to you again, Bob. It's the gallery thing, I think. Sorry. So yeah, just mess around with your settings on your end. So again, your card's been declined, review account. Oh, I didn't do any card, you know. And so then in your browser, you may get these things. They pop up. These are always fake and don't respond to them. And uh on hang on, I gotta get there. So if you get these, don't call the number. You shut down Safari, and if you have to, you force quit or you shut down your computer. And then when you fire Safari back up the next time, what you do is hold down the Shift key when you click on Safari on the dock, and that will clear it out, and then you can keep going. Because these things they're essentially like pop-up ads, like we used to get a lot of, but now they can make noise and do all this other stuff. And they're feeding on FUD, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And these people are actually, they're like farmers, and they're quote fishing, it's with a PH, and they're trying to harvest your credit card because they want you to call this number and then say that, oh, wow, okay, yeah, we can fix that for $300. And then what'll happen is they'll charge you that and say, well, that'll cover you for a year. And then they take your credit card and it puts out on the dark web and it's being charged a whole bunch of other places. This is one I received about a week ago. And it says, oh, you're Chase. Well, I have a Chase account and I don't remember if I have one that ends in 8632. So what I did is I looked up here and I clicked under customer service. Well, it's customer service, not Chase, but intranet-fi.com. So I immediately know that this is not from Chase. And besides that, I would never click on these links because I would log into my Chase account the way I normally do so that I could check if I have a notification like that. And again, you can see how that looks like that. So always you hover over the name or click on the name and see what it is. And this is the state meat of Hawaii is spam. Well, spam can be delicious if prepared right, but you get a lot of spam. And that's another thing why you should get rid of Yahoo. And when I say get rid of Yahoo, you'll need to keep it for a while, but you need to establish another email address, either an Apple iCloud.com email address or a Gmail address, and go forward. And I always recommend if you're transitioning to Gmail, get two Gmail accounts. One that you use as what I call a throwaway. In other words, you use that for places where they want your email, but you're never going to really do anything with them. And you don't care if you get spam from it and stuff. And then you have your second email that's sacred. And you only give that to people you're doing business with, subscriptions you really want to see, or friends and family. And you keep that one fairly sacred. The best part is Gmail has a very good spam filter. This is another one pops up very recently. It's a friend of mine, actually used to be an Apple employee, forwarded this to me to tell everybody. He got this on his computer and it was making noise and everything else. It looks all official and stuff, but it's not, it's fake. So disregard all of these, restart the browser or quit the browser and then restart the computer and come back and you should be fine.
Has been locked up. Your IP address was used without your knowledge or consent to visit websites that contains identity theft virus. To unlock the computer, please call support immediately. Please do not attempt to shut down or restart your computer. Doing that may lead to
I better not.
identity theft. The computer lock is a
So the whole idea with that is it does all that and worries you, but those are always fake. Just move on and they're playing on your fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Okay. So we're going to talk about the mail app. We're going to do some live stuff here, and I'm going to be careful to not, well, this is first of all, when you get all that other stuff and you get spam and stuff, you feel like this or this. Is there anybody here that doesn't get enough email? I don't see any hands raised. Okay. So that talks about one thing when you're using email, and so I'm going to go through a quick little list here on things you can do, but it's the 3-hour session where we're going to really dig in, and you guys are going to be able to follow along on your device, and we're going to do some settings and make sure what's up. But there's two ways, and it's interesting when I go to a household, whether they're just roommates, whether it's spouses, whatever it is, partners, whatever it is, it always seems that one person wants to have the zero inbox. In other words, keep their inbox really clear. They delete things, they file them. And then there's the other person that, as I kind of say, they're like me, and it's kind of like an email hoarder. Well, I have OCD and stuff, but my logic takes over and wins that battle. So I'm not saying which way is right or wrong. It's whatever works for you. And the worst thing I can ever do when I'm consulting with people is try to change their workflow. Because whatever works or seems like it works for you, I shouldn't recreate. I have one client who I've had to get old computers earlier than 2012 and earlier, because he runs on an iMac, but we have to run the 10.6.5 operating system, which is way back, because and this guy runs a multiple tens of millions DVD movie distribution business. And it's not porn or anything like that. It's just weird topics like the pyramids and space aliens and things like that. But the guy's very successful. But he goes through at least and processes at least 100 emails an hour and does it. I mean, he's such a master and he's so fast. But he uses Netscape Navigator, which is just ancient. So I have to keep supporting him on that computer. And luckily, I've got him to at least go so far as we have some other backup plans that he has newer computer that can go to if there's any more problems. But that's just the whole thing is I don't want to reinvent what you do. I want to try to expose you to this, and you might be able to use email a little better and more efficiently. But if I look at my mail, I think I have 662,000 emails. So I'm officially an email hoarder. I probably get 300 emails a day, not counting those that go to my spam. And it's tough to process, but part of the reason I keep them all, and I'll give you an example. I remember a client that I work with, and that person keeps a zero inbox. In other words, they either delete it, and most of the time they just plain delete it, or they do put it in, categorize it a little bit, but not much. So that person called me up one day and says, "Hey, Ken, you sent an email out about 2 weeks ago, and I was interested in what you put in that email. And can you send it again?" So knowing exactly, I remembered how this person handled their email. And I says, "Oh, so you deleted it, didn't you?" And she sheepishly said, "Well, yeah, I did." And I said, "And because you know that I save all my emails, you want me now to send you a copy of my email?" And I said, "I can find it and send it to you." And I just left it hanging there. And I, of course, did send it to her. But that's the part of the reason, because, and I only categorize my emails or put them in mailboxes if I have certain things, like everything for taxes, I put in currently in the 2024 tax folder. I have an email box for that. And then if I'm doing a trip, like I'm coming up, I'm going to Sri Lanka in September. So any of my communications or reservations and stuff, I put in the Sri Lanka folder. And the only reason I do that is because by doing it in that mailbox like that, I can instantly recall it, especially on a trip. I'm getting ready to check into a hotel and I need to see that really quick. So all my stuff's there. But I also keep it in my inbox and I never delete those things because they're still there and they don't take up much room. But the beauty is Apple Mail has such great, fantastic search capabilities that even if I didn't categorize it, I could go in and search for Sri Lanka. But then the problem is if I search for Sri Lanka, and what I could do is like say Sri Lanka and then the hotel or something like that, and that would bring up my hotel reservation. So the problem is it searches too well. So you can filter it down, but I just encourage that. But I'm just saying, don't change because of me, and you don't have to be like me. Yeah, but I'm going to give you other tools that'll work well. But don't be afraid if you're not filing your stuff away because there's such great search capabilities. So now we're going to go and do the most dangerous thing in the world is do a live presentation. So I'm going to give me one sec here. I have mail on my other screen, so I need to move it over. And of course, Zoom gets in the way. So I'm going to a generic account of mine. Come on, mail, come on over. Oh, I'm in full screen mode. I can't do that. Hang on. There we go. Sorry, demo failure so far. I'm getting there though. All right. Okay. So this is just the MacNexus demo account. So when I talked about search, if I go up here, oh, let me get my cursor going so it's more visible. And then when we do the hands-on for the class, I'm going to primarily do iPhone. But for right now, since I just want to go through some subjects, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So up in the upper right corner, you'll see search. And what I can do here is, let's say, oh, let's find a, so here's an email and it has the word collaboration in it, okay? Where did I see collaboration? Well, let's do this. I'm just going to use the word customization. So if I go up and I click in search and I type in customization, this brings up every email that has the word customization in it. See here, dip my car, then here's something, even a spam from Sirius XM. So when I do customization, and I'm going to do it, spelling it out, customization, you'll see that it's starting to put this information in, and it's giving me hints, not from Google, but hints in other emails I have. And then I can say, oh, the subject contains it, or the sender contains it, like you could do someone's name. Or down here, you can say the attachment has names. It'll even, if there's like a PDF attached, it would do it. Let's see if there's anything in, nah, it's not in this particular mailbox. So, but I can say in the message. So here's everything where it's in the message, and you can see it makes it yellow. So very, very, very capable search characteristics. All right. We're not going to do this tonight, but Siri can compose and read your emails. That's very, very good. What was the one question somebody had about settings in mail? Help me out. Who'd I say if we had time at the end, since I'm in the computer right now? Okay.
It was Randy.
Was it changing the order of something?
Yeah, but that was in your thing. Yeah, that you couldn't do. We fixed that. We
Yeah.
decided
Yeah.
that. You can change the order of your inboxes,
Okay.
but not and just by dragging. Oh, it was the flag email thing. So hang on. I just saw on my list because one of my list is doing that. So let's go to this MacNexus. So I'm looking here at an email. Now there's different ways to view your email, but if I control click, I get to flag. Now, were you able to flag emails, Elaine?
I think I can flag them because
So
I
you,
click, there's a little flag icon on my screen somewhere, and I would highlight an email and hit the flag, but
right.
the flag doesn't show up in the
Right.
column like
Okay.
like it did on my old computer.
Yeah. So we need to go to view. So there's where you go flag. I control click. And then we're going to go up here and we're going to say view and should say flags. Anybody that uses flags, feel free to pop in because I don't use flags. So I'm going to use the help here and go flag. Sort by flags. So you can sort by flags, but I want to make sure
I want to show,
filter by
I want to see which emails I have flagged.
right. Well, actually, hang on here. Let me
Oops.
go ahead
Is
and
that called the toolbar up there that
yeah, let me
with the
flag.
columns that
Let
you, so
let me
where do you
flag.
find that?
I'm going to first just flag this email and we'll go red. See, it shows up right here in the email.
Hmm.
Does it do that for you?
Mm,
Try
I
flag
just put the flag up in the toolbar long ago. So
up in this toolbar. Well, good, great point. So let me show you how to do that. So
Okay.
if you control click on your toolbar, say customize toolbar, and now you could move flag. You'll notice on the toolbar up here, this is the default toolbar. I could drag flag from here up to this space,
Right.
right? And then what you do is you click on the flag and it'll just filter and show you only the flagged items.
if you
Yes.
want to do it by menu, it's in the message menu, about 2/3 of the way down.
But also you can, if you're viewing the emails as a list, you can, as a list that goes horizontally,
Yes.
you can choose to
Yeah,
have a column in there. You can add
right. Is
columns
that how
That-
you're
around.
set up, Elaine?
That's what I'm interested in.
And is yours currently set up in column layout?
Yes.
Be like this?
Yes.
So what I can do over here is I don't want to change that. I want to bring this over. I'm going to narrow it. And actually, if I control click, I can tell it to be flags. And now the flags will show up here.
That's what I want. So you control clicked on what?
I controlled click on the little dot there. And then that brought up the ability to do flags. And it added that column.
That's awesome.
And I used to use columnar view. I use the other now, but this works well. So good. That was search and flaggings. And then again, each email will, and what's weird is let's find our flagged email. So I'm going to do date received. There it is. So blue dot means unread, by the way, and sometimes you can filter it to do unread. Unfortunately, on the phone, sometimes it'll switch over and you'll go, where are all my emails? And it turns out it's only showing you unread. So the blue dot means read, and in this case, it's a flag. So there you go, Elaine. And thanks for
That's
the column tip on that. And I Had to remember to get back into columnar view.
Ken, was it you just clicked on because the text is so small on my screen, I couldn't see what you clicked on to set the flag?
To set the flag,
Yeah, you were in there and you said, click on one of the
so I
icons.
go to any email. And are you
Yeah.
talking to put it up on the top or to flag an email?
To put it on the top, where you just were, you said to click on
Oh,
something,
you
but I couldn't read what
control
it is.
click. You control click on, hold down the control key, or if you're on a laptop, it's secondary click or right click.
And what is that you're clicking on? I can't see
I'm
it.
just clicking on the column top. And if I
Okay,
click that, I can then turn flags off too.
okay.
So I just go anywhere on the top, and even though I'm clicking on a column, it's not going to change that column. It's adding another column, see, in front. It didn't change from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was just hard to read because of the size of the font so small on my screen. I couldn't see what it was.
Yeah, that's why I zoomed in. So, okay, good question. So using mailboxes to organize, you can see here I have Sri Lanka. Since we're getting short on time, we're going to save that for the other. The other thing is we're going to talk about subscriptions. If you get an email that is spam, and you know it's spam, but from a reputable place, you can unsubscribe. Excuse me. And if it's a not reputable place, don't unsubscribe, because then they go, oh, good, I found a live email address. So you would then, the best thing for you to do is say, put it in junk, tell it it's junk, and then it will remember that, and everything that comes in from that person will do it. As far as blocking emails, that's pretty fruitless. Just don't, it just let it go. And now the worst thing is if you keep getting one from someplace, let's say Bob Smith locksmith shop, and if it's reputable, go ahead and unsubscribe, because they, by law in the US and Canada, they have to unsubscribe you. But if it doesn't look like it is, it's somewhere from Russia or something else, don't hit unsubscribe. Tell it it's junk. Don't just delete it, because by telling it it's junk, it'll say, well, the next one that comes in from this same person, go ahead and delete it. I'm sorry, put it into junk. Delete just says delete that one. On the other hand, if it's an email from someone you know and you want email from, don't tell it it's junk, even if you don't like that particular message, because then it will send everything else that comes from that person into junk.
What do you mean, tell it it's junk? How do you tell it?
Well, there's usually a column, like on the iPhone, if you swipe from left to right and you hit more, and then it'll say junk is one of the options where delete is. Or if you up at the top on the Mac, there's a thumbs up or a thumbs down that's junk or not junk. And then
Or you can add it to the toolbar.
Yeah, well, it should be on the toolbar, or it should be on each email when you fire it up by default. But the other thing is that occasionally it will do a false positive. So you're expecting an email from someone. Make sure that you check in your junk folder. And there's some settings that I will encourage you to do on the Saturday class, which will be recorded, is you set your junk folder to delete after 30 days, but also in systems or in mail settings, and I'll bring that screen up for you and pull it over. There's two settings you should change. And I can share my screen again here. So, and I'll zoom in. So if I go into the settings screen and I go to general, by default down here, junk, this is saying when searching all mailboxes, include results from, yes, in your trash, but you want to make sure junk is selected. So this is in mail settings or mail preferences under the word mail when you're in the app. And you want to tell it to do that. And the other thing I really, really encourage you to do is go to composing and say, turn off increase quote level. If you've gone back and forth with somebody 10 different times on an email, it keeps working its way across the screen and it has that partial message if you're in conversation view, and it just really makes it ugly. So, and then what we'll do too is we're going to discuss, since we talked about new email addresses, we'll show you how to set up a signature where you can say, no longer use my Yahoo email. I'm going to go ahead and I want you to start using my Gmail, something like that. Okay, so we got really quick time for last minute questions. I will unshare my screen.
And you got Joan's question, right?
Yeah,
Joan, go for it, Joan. Thank you, Randy.
just a quick, is there a way to do junk mail in messaging?
No, there's what you can do in messaging is if you get a message, as you slide it and you hit delete, it will usually say, would you like to if this is junk or spam, would you like to delete and report? And when it says report, then that goes to your carrier and they put it on the bad person list.
I see delete, but I don't see delete report.
When you hit delete the message, it most of the time will come up and ask if you want to delete and report.
It just says delete from all your devices.
Well, that's all you're done with. And if it consistently happens from the same number, you can go into your messages and settings and block that number, and then you won't receive it.
Okay, because this said it was from a package has arrived for me and it's got such a phony address.
And did it only happen one time?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. So then just delete it. Delete it and you're good, because that's usually a random thing like that. Sometimes it's a wrong one, but that's usually a bogus one.
Well, it's from USPS and it's from a Jeremy.
It appears to be from USPS.
Uh-uh. Right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, any other questions before we go to the raffle? And good. All right, so let me get some numbers. Lisa and Mary, what are the numbers we're using?
For the attendees, we're at 36 tonight. And for the all members, we are at 249.
Okay, so fantastic. Most of you been here long enough, but what we do is we do a Siri random number generator. There'll be four $25 gift cards and two $100 Amazon gift cards that'll be to members in attendance. If you win two of those, you have to give one back. And then and we redraw it. And then the last one is a different set of numbers, which is our entire membership, which is at 249. And your number doesn't correspond. They're two separate lists. Mary has one, Lisa has the other. I've not seen them. So that's the transparency there. And you can win both. You can win the attended member raffle or the all membership raffle. No problem. But people will start they will virtually throw things at you if you win two of them, if you win the two 100s. And then you can't sign in for how many weeks did we? No, I'm just kidding. So. All right. So what I'll do is Siri will draw the number and I see it on my screen. And in case I mispronounce it or it doesn't come up with the right one, I will immediately say, nope, that one's out, because it didn't include like I say 36 and it only does 32. And we've done it, and we know that it's also inclusive on 1 through 36, for instance. So without further ado, let me see if we can do this here. Give me a random number between 1 and 36. This is for the $25 gift cards. There'll be 4 of them. Oh, did it not do it? Oh, hang on. Give me a random number between 1 and 36. Well, Siri,
Do you have to say, hey, Siri?
Don't say that. You just fired everybody's off. No,
Oh, I
because
did.
Siri's coming on. What time is it? She's not hearing me. So hang on. Let me see what microphone is on. Well, I'll do it from my phone and put it on speaker. And fingers crossed. Let me turn the volume way up. What time is it? And of course, I have to turn it off of silent. That's why I tested that first. What time is it? I guess I need to boost my volume.
Boy, you
Siri
really
is
made her
boycotting
angry.
Sun City.
What time is it? Okay, let's turn off Do Not Disturb. What time is it? Holy crap. What is going on here? Well, let me grab my iPad. I'm running out of devices.
Is it time for couples counseling? What's going on?
Well, Siri and I have needed couple counseling for a long time. What time is it?
Time for Siri to work.
Yeah.
Howdy doody.
Time is 9:05.
Okay. Rich, give me a random number between. Hang on one.
Siri says, look at your phone if you want to know what time it is.
Well, it'll show me, but oh, there we go. What's the current temperature?
It's 74 degrees right now.
Were you guys able to hear
Bingo.
that?
Yes.
Okay. Just for transparency, we're doing this on my iPad mini. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
It's 5.
5.
5 is Bob White.
Woo!
That's why I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Bob. Give me a random number between 1 and 36. Start from scratch again. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
It's 29.
29.
29. Pete McDonough.
Congratulations, Pete. Both of you are $25 gift cards. But I'm taking $1 off because of the frustration here. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
That would be 1.
1, number 1.
Number 1, Al Trivet.
1
Sweet.
is the first natural number.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Read all night.
Oh,
So,
sure.
yeah.
Now she's
So
Chad
now
County.
earlier you won't talk to me, and now you're giving me peanut gallery comments.
Congratulations, Al.
Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
That would be 6.
6, all low numbers.
6, Carlos Miranda.
Hey, congratulations, Carlos. So that is 4 of them, right?
Yes.
So now we'll do the 2 $100 gift cards, or we'll try to. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
It's 15.
15.
Indolus Callens.
Full run on Garros, which of course gets underway in the next few days. Qualifying already underway.
I'm going to mute Madeline there. Okay. She's won like 1 or 2 times ago. Congratulations. Okay, now for the second member in attendance, $100 gift card. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
That would be 23.
Hold it. It says 1 and 30, so we can't do that one.
Okay.
It said that in the text. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
It's 4.
And that is good.
Okay. 4, Bill Hammond.
Woohoo!
Congratulations, Bill. All right, now for the full membership didn't have to be in attendance. Give me a random number between 1 and 249.
That would be 14.
And that's a good number.
And that is James Park.
James Park. Well, cool. Congratulations. They will send me that list and I'll email that out tonight. And I always send the one person that wasn't in attendance, because I don't think he was in attendance, an email letting them know that they're going to get an email from Amazon and it's not spam.
It is
Because yeah, so I always do that. And then the last person, it was like, then they emailed Bob to find out if this Ken Spencer, who says he's president, sent an email. Is that, it was kind of funny. So, and I assured back and it was pretty good. But you know what? That just means what we're teaching is working. So, again, there's a ton to go over in mail. Be ready. It'll be recorded when we do it on the first Saturday. And then after that, I'm going to be on the Great Race. So for next 2 meetings, you're going to get Pete Losey, and that's a treat. And Pete's just the best. And luckily, we'll probably still have Al again, which between Pete and Al, that's content that's worth its weight in gold. So thank you again. If you have any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself or do your hand a virtual raise on that. So feel free. Thanks for attending. Careful driving home. It's wet out there. No. All right. Cool.
All right. Made it through another one.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
right. See you guys later.
All right.
Thank
Take care, Mary.
I got to do this 17.5.1, but I didn't want to do that or my Sonoma update before presentation.
Thanks for the offer on the iPhone case.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife has she prefers something really bright to see. She's just
Oh,
had
yeah.